Can I have you all sit in smart positions? In 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold. And breathe out through your mouth. Use the 4-2-6 technique that I've taught you to continue practicing slow breathing. As you practice slow breathing, take this time for yourself to remember what we've been doing for the last few days in class. We read poetry by people from different walks of life, from a Dalit Muslim person to someone living in Kashmir, to a female prisoner in Ireland, to Rabindranath Tagore in colonial India. Think about how through these 2 days we have thought deeply about what freedom means in all of our lives. I want you to imagine once again what would your poem of freedom look like. Slowly come back to me. Welcome to your English class. Can you take a look at the smaller sheet that you all have? It says, Raja bola raat hai, Rani boli raat hai, Mantri bola raat hai, Santri bola raat hai, ye subah subah ki baat hai. There are 2 questions on the board. You have the next 2 minutes to discuss this in your groups. Go.
One said that it is the night, so everyone start on saying that it's night and we go with the crowd.
Tell me this, Raja, Rani, Mantri, Santri, what is the common thing in all of them? Are they all, what kind of people?
They are rich and royal. Everyone listen to them.
The powerful people. Remember that also. I heard a lot of interesting opinions. Can you raise hands? Whoever wants to share. Okay. Love the number of hands that has gone up.
Here Raja, Rani, Santri and Mantri are all the people from the politics. And they are hiding the truth.
How misconceptional information spread. Like if a powerful man or a person who is on a high rank said something, then it spread.
Did anybody notice anything interesting about the form of the poem? Sunny, go ahead.
Everyone is using रात है रात है रात है रात है और ये सुबह की बात है.
When we build up to a certain thing but the end is completely different, what is it called? Okay. Kunal?
Irony.
Yes, it is irony.
In Raja they are the like government and Rani is like constitution or Mantri is like the police, judge and Santri like us. We are not get much about what our freedom or right. We only say what we get is enough for us.
Okay, that's a very interesting observation. So what Akhil basically did was he made real world connections and he gave functions to each person and he said the last person on that group is the one who's taking everything in without even questioning it or interpreting it in a very different manner. Great guys, so you arrived at all of this on your own. I want you to remember these things. Now go to the longer page. I made 3 symbols on the board. Can somebody quickly run me through them? What are these symbols? Arun, what is the first one?
Idea.
Yes, thank you. Bulb means idea. So anything that gives you an interesting idea, annotate with a bulb. Sumit, what is the second one?
The important one.
Important point. So any important point that you have, you're going to put a star mark next to it. Shiva, whenever you have a doubt or a confusion, you put a question so that when I come to your groups individually, I can address those. The poem is The Tale of Melon City by Vikram Seth. In the city of which I sing, there was a just and placid king. The king proclaimed an arch should be constructed that triumphantly would span the major thoroughfare to edify spectators there. The arch was built too low. A frown appeared upon his placid face. The king said, "This is a disgrace." The chief of builders was led out. He passed the king. He gave a shout. "O king, it was the workmen's fault." "Oh," said the king, and called a halt. The workmen looked surprised and said, "O king, you do not realize the bricks were made of the wrong size." "Summon the masons," said the king. The masons stood there quivering. It was the architect, they said. The architect was summoned. Said the architect, "O king, you have forgotten one small thing. You made certain amendments to the plans when I showed them to you." The king perceived their mood and trembled, and said to all who were assembled, "Let us postpone consideration of finer points like guilt. The nation wants a hanging." The nose was set up somewhat high. Each man was measured by and by, but only one man was so tall he fitted. His Majesty was therefore hanged by royal decree. The next to pass the city gate will choose the ruler of our state. A man passed by the city gate, an idiot. The guards cried, "Wait, who is to be the king? Decide." "A melon," the idiot replied. When now you ask the people, "So, your king appears to be a melon. How did this happen?" They say, "Well, on account of customary choice, if His Majesty rejoice in being a melon, that's okay. With us, for who are we to say what he should be as long as he leaves us in peace and liberty?" The principles of laissez-faire seem to be well established there. Look at the tough words that you found. Use your dictionaries and come up with the meanings for them, and then we'll move to the next thing. I've written certain things on the board. These are your tools of analysis that we'll be using today.
Long live the king, the mystery said. Long live the king, the king.
ये तो है ना भाई, ये रीजन दे सकता है,
एविडेंस है ना, तो ये इस लाइन को लिख दूंगा मूड में, और उसके बाद ये नीचे वाला
नहीं मूड में लिख दिया, फनी में भाई सारे हंस रहे थे, बस फनी वो फनी पोएम है ये।
A B B लाइन्स के B C है। नहीं हमें पास ही करना है A B B C king और B इसमें B हो जाएगा तो through there.
Tell me, what do you think was the main idea of the poem? Wait, Deepak, you've already spoken. Does Tapesh want to speak? Thank you. Tapesh, yeah.
One who govern a state or a group should be wise, should have the power, but if he is not wise, he will not take decisions that are good for the society.
Does somebody want to talk about the mood and the tone of the poem?
The mood and tone of this poem is a kind of funny, as they have used, as the king doesn't have any kind of thing which can make him a king. Like when someone said he should be hanged, then he hanged himself. He didn't thought that I am the king and I will die. And their policies kind of they said that the one who will pass this gate, the first will be a king. So this kind of the kingdom can never grow, as anyone can be king there.
As Nikhil pointed out, the fun part of it or the humor part of it comes from how absurd everything is. Absurd means बहुत ही अजीब सा, which makes no sense. There is no logic to it. I'm going to move on to poem progression now. Does somebody want to talk about that?
The first stage is that the king want to construct an ark. Then the ark was built too low that the king lost his crown. Due to this, the king decided to hang the chief of builders. The chief of builders shift all the responsibility to the workmen. Then the workmen shift all the responsibilities to the mason, and the mason shift all the responsibility to the architect. Then the architect said that at the last moment there were amendments, so it was not his fault. Then the king decided to bring a wisest man. The wisest man decided a tall man should be hanged. Unfortunately, they were not able to find any tall man. Since king was very tall, so king was considered as the fittest man to be hanged. Since king was hanged, therefore melon was considered, melon, which is a fruit, was considered as the new ruler by an idiot. This is how the story ends.
Alright, so very interesting how you broke down the story for us. But I was not very clear on what exactly was still the turning point in the story. Can somebody talk more about that?
When the wisest man of the town was found, he commanded to punish the culprit. And then as the people decide, the first man who will pass from the city gate will decide the new king.
The final one is the form, the rhyme scheme, figures of speech, etc. Group 2 do you want to talk about that?
So the rhyme scheme of the poem is A, and BP.
Okay.
And form of speech is first imagery. Then the king called the majesties and the wiser person to hang the culprit. He was not knowing that he will be hanged, but at the end he was hanged, so it was unexpected, so it will be irony. And finally we will talk about satire. And in that satire, the fault was that the decision of king was too quick.
I'm going to give you the next 1 minute to copy all of this down. Now the tale of Melon City is a kind of tale which, I mean, it's like a children's poem, right? It's a very imaginary story that is being told to you. I want you to look at specific lines in the poem and think, have I ever seen this in real life? Remember, one of the norms of the class is make connections to the world.
The king's crown fell down, and because of it, he became angry, and he is powerful, and he wanted to punish others for that things. Like if we take a factory, if the factory went to a loss, then the worker have to do extra work. Owner don't have to do any work, put any effort.
So sometimes can we say that powerful people might exploit people who are not as powerful? So that's a flaw in the society also that we found out. Alright, Praveen?
If we notice that there is our fault and we are guilty, then we say change the topic or move on.
We try to hide our mistakes. This was a very personal relation that you also made, right? Which is great. Can we make a political connection as well?
The Melon not doing any work. Sometimes we are give vote to someone else which are not working very well.
A lot of media channels as well these days, when they say something like, the nation wants to know, and they try to pin the blame on certain people, whether or not their guilt has been established doesn't matter. Melon City is a satire. Give me a thumbs up if you agree on this. Nakul, why is it a satire?
Because it hides a message through the poetic lines like Kaushik said that we choose leaders who don't deserve power.
Yeah.
And also I want to add a point that do not care about their voting rights.
Yeah.
They choose leaders who don't deserve power.
Alright.
So it also gives us various force in our society.
Take the next 2 minutes, silently reflect and write, why did I include a satirical poem in Poetry of Freedom? What does satire have to do with freedom?
It looks like a warning. If this happens to us in the real life, then we would also take place of these funny characters.
The faults are the restriction towards our freedom, and we want to deal with it. Humor is a way that everybody remember it more time, and they don't take it on hard or they don't get hurt, and we can express our frustration and nobody will hurt and there will be no censure.
Each person or a community have different meaning of freedom, and satire can be the way by which the issue or freedom can be shown in a way that everyone having different kind of minds, thoughts, can take out their kind of freedom from it.
There's one word I want to add here. You may have a lot of freedoms, but if you don't have the freedom to protest against violations of your freedom, then maybe we need to rethink what is the idea of freedom we carry. So right to protest, right to dissent, right to question are very basic rights for all of us. And that is why satire is a very important part of freedom. Quickly take down the last question that I want you to do at home. Vikram Seth's Tale of Melon City shows how poetry can be used to express dissent and therefore freedom, full stop, justify Please write down the criteria that I'm going to see in your answers. I want these answers to be mailed to me by the end of Saturday, and I will respond with feedback for you. Alright? Thank you so much for participating.
डेमोक्रेसी किस लिए होता है? हमारे लिए होता है. मैं नहीं चाहता कि हाँ भाई मुझे डेमोक्रेसी नहीं चाहिए, तो हमें फिर भी डेमोक्रेसी क्यों खींचती है कि हाँ भाई तुम वोट दो?
There are no answers right now. Maybe we can look at power and see how power functions. Because when we say that why are we not letting Naxalites be, or why are we not letting Kashmir be for that matter, right? It's a question of power.
The core idea of democracy is that it's for everyone.
Yeah.
So why it's not following it?
So that's a good
Who
question.
is accountable of it?
Again, a good question, but you'll have to think about this on your own. I can help you brainstorm through this and I can suggest readings to you, but I'm not sure there are any real answers. Because again, remember, we're talking about people.
Questions don't have answers.
Good questions don't have one answer.
Yes.